build it, he will.
It's the Skinny on Sports Podcast with Aaron Cow.
I throw balls far. You want good words? Data language.
Talk real sports with a real man.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
And now, here's the be-all, end-all, know-it-all of high school, college, and pro sports. Aaron Skinny Cow with the Skinny on Sports.
We're talking about practice, man. I'm the MVP.
Good Thursday morning out there, Western Oklahoma. Welcome to the Skinny on Sports right here on 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal. Glad to have you along for the next hour. Jam-packed show today. We got all kinds of stuff going on. We'll try to get to the other side of the ball with the Red River rivalry coming up on Saturday. What happens when OU has it? We did what happens when Texas has the ball yesterday. What happens when the Sooners have it? Who is the best offense Texas has faced? Who are some guys that can make differences in the game on either side of the ball? X factors, that sort of thing. So we'll get to that at the end of the show. Awesome deal coming up, and right in the middle at 9:30, we're going to have Jonathan Reed. And you say, Jonathan Reed, who's that? Well, he is the coach and GM of the Western Oklahoma Bulls, the ABA team coming to Elk City. So we're going to have a discussion with him, just kind of figure out what's going on, right? What is the ABA? Who are the Bulls? Who is Jonathan Reed? And all that sort of thing. So we're going to have him at 9:30 to kind of introduce himself to the Western Oklahoma sporting public. And then off the top of the show, fall baseball, fast pitch softball state tournament start today. There has been a change. I know that we don't necessarily have anybody from this area in the fall baseball, but if you're planning on going, just want to go watch, there has been a change to the times in one of those two tournaments. Thursday night football tonight, Elk City and Cache. Big, huge game with all kinds of district implications coming. We'll hit that. And then Major League Baseball playoffs. Wild card round wasn't very exciting as all four wild card round series are over at 2-0. We'll look ahead to what's coming in the divisional round. 225-9698 is the phone or the text line. 225-9698. Give me a call, shoot us a text. Talk about anything that's on your mind right here in the world of sports. At 225-9698. If you're going to be outside the area one of these days, you want to listen to the show live, it's easy, kadsam.com, or download the Paragon app. Either of those will work. If you do the Paragon app, you get everything we do. Radio, Penny News, Big Elk and Paragon TV. You can watch it right there at your pleasure on your phone. And then the Skinny on Sports podcast available anywhere where you can find podcasts. Hello, Jared.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Real well. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's just,
kind of chilly out.
It is. That's the first thing Wyatt said.
Like that?
When we were
nice.
Headed to work, he goes, oh, my gosh, it's like fall. I may have to break out the sweatpants.
I told kids, I said, grab hoodies, girls. You're going to need them to start your day. Yeah, I like it. That's football weather for you.
Yep. It's not going to stay this cool, obviously. But highs in the 70s. That's nice. Maybe we'll get a little bit of a fall here.
Well, I think it's going to get colder.
It turns to cold. Well, 67 on Saturday, but then right back up into the 80s.
Oh, I don't even look past Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to start but low 80s, high 70s.
Oh, that's tolerable.
Maybe some rain.
That's good.
We may have to start making a plan for next Thursday and rain at Chickasha. Cameraman may be inside the booth, that big giant booth with us.
There's a lot of space there. We might have to call ahead and make sure they didn't
do something different with the
last
turf.
time we anticipated being inside, we were outside.
Yeah,
by the way, have fun tonight, Cash broadcast.
I doubt that really happens. We were pushing for it last year, though. All right,
we have receipts. Go ahead.
Fall baseball, fast pitch softball state tournaments starting today for the fast pitch. Class 3A all the way down to Class B. Class B, there's some Western Oklahoma representation coming. As we mentioned yesterday, Fire Lake Ballparks in Shawnee will host Thursday and Friday, and then Oklahoma State on Saturday for the title games today, 11 a.m. Things start off in Class B with Mountain View, Gotebo, and Frontier. So that's 11A on Field 1. Following that, you got Leedy and Tupelo. Those are on the side of the same bracket, so you could possibly have a Mountain View Leedy game tomorrow. The top half of the bracket at 4, Stewart and Kiowa, followed by Arnett and Turner at 6:30. So Lady Wildcats get what it looks like to be the top seed in Turner at 6:30. So that's Class B. Everything's on schedule. Are those turf? Do you know?
We're at
The fields at Fire Lake?
I feel like the infield is.
Yeah, there hasn't been any update to the time. So you'd think with an 11 o'clock game, if there was a change, it'd already be out there.
They were changing just recently to, and I think it might just be infield. I'm not 100% sure,
Okay.
though.
I bet somebody's been there and will text us before the show is over.
I'm waiting for a guy.
Yeah, Class A, Rattan and Ripley start at 11 o'clock, followed by Navajo and Red Oak. Those 4 teams are on the same side of the bracket. Navajo and Red Oak is a 1:30 game. Arapahoe Butler will take the field at 4 o'clock against Surreal, and then the top game in that bracket, or that half of the bracket, Caddo and Binger Oni. So you got Binger Oni at 6, Arapahoe at 4, Ripley at 1:30 in Class A. In Class B, Mount View Godebo at 11, Leedy at 1:30, and then Arnett at 6:30 in the fast pitch state tournaments in Class A and B. Good luck to all of those schools. I mentioned there's a difference in the times for the fall baseball. Class B remains the same. I believe Edmond Santa Fe has turf. And no change to the Class B state tournament times. Quarterfinal games go on as scheduled at Edmond Santa Fe this Thursday today. But at Edmond Memorial, there has been a change. The games will be delayed 1 hour. So the Class A fall baseball state tournament delayed 1 hour. So instead of 11, 1:30, 4, and 6:30, you've got noon for Oaktahaw and Preston, 2:30 for Dale Silo, Rattan Wright City 5, Okarche. Speaking of, there's Western Oklahoma ties. Matt Yost, head coach at Okarche. They take on Worcester at 7:30. So that game. So if there you go, at 7:30 instead of 6:30. If anybody's going to go up there and support the Okarche Warriors.
Can confirm there are Fire Lake is turfed.
I was thinking that was right.
I knew that was recent too. I had heard that they were switching all that around.
Yeah, I was thinking that was correct.
So they're playing a state tournament on turf.
That would be correct.
Okay.
What about OSU? OSU's regular though, isn't it?
That's natural.
It's natural.
I believe
grass.
it is.
I think that's right.
Yeah. Very good.
What's your shot? You got a shot at somebody. What the playing state
Well, the
tournament on
OSSA
turf.
can figure it out. Okay, kids can't. Moving on.
It's 2 years ago, Jared. I would let it go. That's going to just
No,
cause,
every year I'm going to be on it because that's money missing out right here for the finest fields in Western Oklahoma, both baseball and softball.
It's going to cause you heartache. Hey, there was actually regionals here last year.
There
for
was,
baseball.
but there needs to be state here for baseball and softball.
You know what? They should care one more summer. After that, I don't care. I'm going to quit caring about that real quick.
To be clear, nothing against where they take them. I'm just saying everybody needs a share of the pot here.
Feels like a shot at everywhere.
No, it's not a shot at the towns that they're placing them in. It's just I think they overlook Elk City.
Massive shot down I-40.
I don't think they overlook Elk City. I just think they go Elk. No, moving on.
Massive shots down I-40 at the moment.
No, I'm not doing that. Where we played this summer, both at U and TNU, great facilities. I just think Elk City needs a cut here.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying. Why not?
I got a possible. I don't even know if I have a dog in a fight this summer. Don't even know yet. Go to Sean. Salisol's nice.
I don't doubt it.
It's awesome. Drive all the way across the state every time. All right,
awesome.
Major League Baseball
Nice and hot.
playoffs. Boy, it does get hot there.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball playoffs. Boy, the wild card round was a little bit of a dud. Your Rangers just absolutely dominated. 4-0, 7-1, 2 wins at Tampa in the Trop. It looked like a better crowd yesterday. I never saw the announced attendance, but it looked like there were more people there yesterday than the day before. Maybe a bunch of Rangers fans flew down to try to celebrate with the team. So the Texas wins 7-1 yesterday, 4-0 in Game 1. They move on. Division Series, I think it starts Saturday against Baltimore, the Orioles and the Rangers. Also a really cool scene in Minnesota. The Twins snapped that 18-game postseason losing streak on Tuesday. They win the series on yesterday as well as Minnesota defeats Toronto 2-0. They'll head to Houston. So it'll be Twins-Astros there. My Brewers got ahead in both games. and screwed the pooch in both games as they gave up 6 straight on Tuesday after taking a 3-0 lead to lose 6-3. Give up 5 straight yesterday after leading 2-0. And so Arizona, the Diamondbacks, advance over the NL Central champion Brewers. They will play the Dodgers. Interesting, in the National League, we get division series between division opponents, Arizona and the Dodgers, and then Philly whipped up on Miami. That was going to happen anyway, with both those Eastern teams playing each other for the right to play the Braves. So Philly and Atlanta are the other series. Yeah, I mean, take your Texas bias out of it. Do you have a favorite series? For me,
Yeah, I do. I do have a favorite one. Go ahead.
I think it's Philly and Atlanta.
Philly, Atlanta?
Yep.
That's going to get the national attention, sure. My favorite series will be Twins at Houston. Twins at Astros, or just starting with at Astros, because of the Carrera storyline and the fact that the Twins have a winning record against Houston this year. So, very interested to see how that shakes out.
I will bet you a burrito.
Houston sweeps them.
That Houston wins that series. I'm not going to say sweeps. I do like the Correa storyline. I agree with that, but it just, when you see Houston and Minnesota, you just immediately go, okay, well, Houston's in the ALCS. Who joins them?
Sure. No, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'll bet you a burrito. I'll pay you on Tuesday or Thursdays.
Okay, I got it. Write that down.
Wait a minute. Let's broaden this. I didn't ever say I suggested Twins were winning.
No, you didn't.
So can I get some games here? Can I?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
You either think they can
Either
do
I'm
it
in or
not.
out. Okay. All right. What the heck? You know why I like burrito bets? Because I always grab myself one anyways.
That's very, very true. And if you catch it on the right day, like you said, Tuesday or Thursday, you can just get one out of the sack.
I'm not going to do that to you.
I might.
I'm going to go to.
I'm not lying. I might do it.
I'm going to go to the quick stop and grab one of those freezer ones like Sean did to me one time.
I know. Ugh.
What a cop out.
Okay, so
No, that one there, just for everything I said. But Philly's Atlanta. But I'm kind of on the same boat on the other side. I'm like, man, it's Atlanta. I've already penciled Atlanta in the NLCS. They're that good, right? But I don't know. Do you think Phillies could play spoiler?
I think it's interesting in a 5-game series where, especially in the National League, those two teams, Atlanta and the Dodgers, have pretty well been coasting for a month and a half, whereas everybody else still alive, maybe not Minnesota as much, but then now they've got 2 games under their belt in the playoffs in the wild card series. But Arizona and Philly have been playing. They've been having playoff games for a month.
Yeah.
And can Atlanta and the Dodgers, in a short series, in just a 5-game series, are they ready to, for the intensity of playoff baseball right off the bat? Because in a 7-game series, you could kind of make up for a bad one. In a 5-game series, it's a lot harder. So that's the only thing on both of those. I think Game 1 is pretty important just to see. Obviously there's advantages to rest, pitching. You got your rotation exactly how you want it and all that kind of thing. But I just wonder if they're we see it in the NFL all the time.
Yeah. You talk about battle tested. Now can we talk about the Rangers?
Yeah,
They've
go
been
ahead.
playing like playoff games all month long too. Go to Tampa Bay and get a couple there. Orioles are the upstart, young, cool team right now. But I think they're very vulnerable. If the Rangers' bats can continue to produce, and it's gonna. If your starters can get all the way to the 7th inning, maybe even the 8th inning of scoreless baseball, then Texas is always going to have a shot because their bats are going to do what they do and what they've done the last 2 games.
Well, listen, if they give up 1 run in 2 games, they'll beat about anybody. The Orioles are the biggest wild card in my mind. Just because we haven't seen them in this situation, but it's not the same old Orioles. It's a bunch of young dudes that maybe don't even know the. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't know what they don't know.
What's fun about this series is you can say that, well, man, the Orioles have never been in the playoffs. These young guys.
Yeah, and Rangers haven't
either.
Right.
So it's kind of a mixed bag. But Orioles have been great this year. It's going to be a tough ask for the Texas Rangers. But if they can get game one, who knows? They can steal game one on Saturday. Who knows? And I wonder who they're going to throw. Could they throw Montgomery again after throwing him on Tuesday? Why not? Would that be a long enough rest for him? And then go back to Evalde for game two? And then maybe John Gray? I don't know.
I think you see Montgomery game two.
Do you think Gray game one?
Yep. There's just it is a 5-game series, but if you
the key is
it was Tuesday, right? So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah,
you could, very well could. But I wonder.
Man, and my heart skipped a beat when I was watching the game, but it was on mute because I was working. So I try to be respectful of that. And I look up and I see Scherzer warming up in the bullpen, and I realize it was video. They did a pregame bullpen session, and then about 10 minutes later, my phone beeps and it says he had a painless, pain-free workout, but still very doubtful.
Yeah.
There's always that. I mean, there's always a glimmer of hope. But I was like, whoa, really? Is he going to – but he's gone from completely out to very doubtful. I mean, it's just like a small rung up the ladder of getting back on the mound. I doubt we see him this October. Absolutely not. But definitely see him in April. But, yeah, the pitching is what's key for Rangers, in my eyes, because I think the bats are coming around at the right time. But if the longer you can go without going to the bullpen, the better.
Oh yeah, obviously. I mean, if the Rangers can get 7 innings out of starters, that really helps their cause and not having to be in that bullpen so quick. I think you see Montgomery game 2. There's no sense in doing it at the first of the series. It's not like a do or die game 5 where it's all hands on deck. There's no sense. And yeah, there's Scott, Gray, Montgomery, Evalde. I think that's how they'll do it too.
Gray, Montgomery, Evalde.
Yep. Yeah. I think that's how it'll go. There's just no sense in doing it right off the bat.
Yeah.
Tonight, Big Elks and Cache. Class 4A District 1 battle. The Elks have lost 3 in a row, one of those being the district opening tilt last week at Clinton. Cache 1-0 in the district, trying to keep pace with the 2 Custer County schools that'll play this week as well, with Clinton and Weatherford on tomorrow night. Huge game for the Elks. It's really weird because there's a 3-game losing streak that the Elks are riding into this game. There's no doubt about it. But it doesn't, in a lot of ways, it doesn't feel like it. And maybe that's just because those last 2 non-district games against Canadian and Carl Albert, you kind of almost had a sense that could happen. So you almost were just, I don't know, maybe I was counting those as losses going in, or for sure the Carl Albert one. So really, to me, it just feels like, you lost last week. It doesn't date back. And maybe the week off has something to do with that in between Carl Albert and Clinton, where there's a true separation of non-district and district. And so, when Johnny said that yesterday, we've lost 3 straight, we need to get one, it almost took me aback, like, whoa, I guess that's true. There have been 3 straight losses, where in my mind it just seemed like we lost last week, now you got to jump back and figure out a way to beat Cache.
Yeah, the thing that worries me, and I said this yesterday, Bridge Creek seems so far a long time ago. I mean, that was the better part of a month ago with the bye week in there. My fear is that you lose that feeling of success. So this is one of those pivotal games of the entire season. Is this game tonight to even up your district record, to make that turn back, get that feeling back of okay, that's how we do it. That's how we win. That's how we are successful. So, and it's listen, Cache is I mean, their last 2 games stands out, but it's against Woodward and Southeast. But I mean, they're putting goose eggs on one side of the scoreboard, hanging half 100 on the other. So they've got something a little bit rolling right here. So they're coming in with a lot of confidence. So you got, if you're Elk City, this might be one of those games that we look back at the end of the year that was the point of the season where they made a turn. Now, will it be a turn for the best or for the worst? Hopefully for the best. So we'll see. Elk City's going to have some success tonight. I mean, they need success in a bad way. And I go back again to just that Bridge Creek game was so long ago, and you just hope that momentum hasn't run out. You want to start off strong and hot in this game and get back on the confidence side, on that positive side, mentally wise.
And see, that's what's weird to me is even though in these in the losses, it doesn't feel like this team is down.
No, it's not like they got.
It's totally weird to see this in a 3-game losing streak and all that. Here's the thing, though. I mean, I know everyone's kind of sitting around thinking about, okay, how do the Elks get back into the district title hunt? The next 2 weeks, if the Elks aren't ready to go and aren't ready to play, the next 2 weeks will determine whether or not they make the playoffs altogether. You know, you jack around and you lose these next 2 to Cache and Chickasha. Now you're done with tiebreakers, and you got to hope for a bunch of help.
Mm-hmm.
Beating Weatherford might be that help, but I mean that's the thing about after the last 2 years, there's so much more positivity in the in results or thinking down the line because of the success the last 2 teams have had. But the reality of the situation tonight and next Thursday is that the season hinges on these 2 games. Get 2 wins, then you essentially solidify a spot in the playoffs. With whatever happens on Friday at Weatherford, now you can start to look at, okay, where are we at seeding-wise? If Clinton takes care of Weatherford this week, then that game here in a couple of weeks against Weatherford here, all of a sudden it's basically, it's for second place if you win these next 2. And other results could change that, but with what we think might happen with 2 wins and what we think, or even better, Weatherford beats Clinton by 15. Then if you can beat Weatherford by 15, all of a sudden then you're leading the district chase.
Right.
So but it all starts with tonight and getting a win on your home field against the Cache Bulldogs, a team that's 3-2, 1-0 in district. You mentioned rolling the last 2 weeks, 56 and 55-0, albeit Woodward and Southeast, but still it took care of that business. Got off to a tough start really with Tuttle. They're number 2 in a lot of polls in 4A.
AP has them 3 this week.
Struggled with Altus. The one comparative score we could make
right
is that Altus game. Elk City started with a 36-6 win. Cache only won 19-6 on their home field versus the Elks going to Altus. I mean, but we've seen that in the past. That doesn't necessarily, that transitive property doesn't always work. It doesn't always equate. The series has been close as far as the overall. They played 12 times, all district games, since Cache had joined 4A1. Cache leads the series 7-5. Elks have won the last 2. Cache won the 5 before that. So kind of a streaky series in a lot of ways. So it's a huge game. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be football weather. Like you said, a little bit more chill in the air today than there has been. And it's a huge, huge game for the Elks to get back on track and kind of erase any doubts there might be about whether this team is actually a playoff team.
Again, pivotal game for the season. Kind of hinges right here.
Yeah, it doesn't. I think I wrote this in the intro for tonight. It feels like the crossroads of the season, and this is going to be the game where you point back to and go, yeah, that's where they turned it around.
Exactly.
Or, that's where the free fall really started.
Unfortunately, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? This is that game. And every season, there's always one of those pivotal moments in the season going into, and it's coming too. That's the thing about this. It's not one of those we're going to look back and go, oh, there it was. No, we know it right now.
Yep.
However many hours before kickoff. Everyone, I think, understands the importance after the loss last week to start the district play, the importance of this win, and with the way the schedule stacks up for the Elks in the district, what we most consider the 4 toughest opponents all come back to back to back to back, within John Marshall and Woodward at the tail end. And so, coming off the Weatherford game in a couple of weeks, the Elks are essentially going to kind of know where they stand and then maybe what to be rooting for, or if you take care of all 3 of those wins and Weatherford does you a favor tomorrow night, maybe you're at the top of the heap and just having to hold serve against John Marshall and Woodward to finish the season. So it'll be a lot of fun. Come on out. Big crowd. Might as well be Thursday night. But if you can't make it, we'll have it. 6:15 pregame, 7 o'clock kick. Big Elk TV and Cool 94 for Elk City hosting Cache. 4A District 1 action from right here at Big Elk Stadium.
Jared Atha in studio. Aaron, we got a little technical stuff's going on, so he's figuring that out right now. But it is worth noting, we were talking about high school football earlier before the break. Elk City hosting Cache tonight, big district game. Also tonight, Merritt is hosting Burns Flat Dill City. Merritt also on a 3-game skid, looking to bounce out of that and looking for their first district win as well. So a couple of big games for a couple of Beckham County schools happening tonight. And by the way, you can watch the Merritt game on ParagonTV.com. But be about a 6:30, 6:45 pregame. They'll kick that one off at 7 o'clock. Again, that's happening over in Merritt. Coach Richardson's team coming in at 1-4. They too looking for their first district win. And you know, kind of in the same vein, that's kind of a pivotal game for them. A team that I think they might have some, or they could have some success against the Eagles, but they got to come out on the field and prove it and maybe start the turnaround for their season too. So Aaron just telling them about the Merritt game happening tonight. That is tonight, according to OSSARankings.com, hosting the Burns Flat Dill City Eagles. And they, too, coming in with a 3-game losing streak, looking for their first. So it's kind of mirroring. I mean, they're coming in at 1-4 on the year. But with the game tonight against Burns Flat, then next week at Sayre, at Thomas, Hooker, and Fairview, there's some tough games in their future. But still, got to get some district wins there.
Yeah, no doubt. Programming update. We'll have Coach Reed tomorrow, 9:15-ish, 9:15
All right.
for Coach Reed during the Garrison Financial Friday. We'll have to figure out what's going on with the phone.
Well, I think it needs an oil change.
Yeah.
We need to figure something out.
He was very gracious, so we'll push
that.
him back one day.
Yeah.
To tomorrow at 9:15.
What do you, I mean, I didn't really.
Coach
We never
Jonathan
really
Reed
talked about the basketball. I mean, that is the Bulls. That's kind of cool. Western Oklahoma Bulls.
That's why I was so excited to have him on, because I'll be honest with you, I don't know much about it. It's hard to find a lot of information on the internet about kind of how the league works.
I mean, I remember the ABA. I mean, I always heard
It's
about
the same
ABA.
thing, right?
Yeah, and it came back, I think, in 2000, so it's been around. And it's more, I mean, it's an opportunity for guys to develop after college, and to who knows where it could take them. And so that level of what I'm excited about is it's a different level of basketball that we'll have in our own backyard that we can go and watch.
Yeah, that's what my questions centered a lot around, just kind of the, him, who's, how did his path get him to where he's at as the GM and the coach of this team that I think was maybe an Enid team at one point, and now it's here at Elk City. Why here? Had a lot of those, and then about the ABA itself.
I think the Arrowhead had a big reason. I mean, it's a new
I would
venue,
assume, but
and the ABA. And I also want to know who's coming here. Like, what teams will they be playing? What kind of division are they in? Where will they be going?
Yeah.
And there might be some names that with these teams that be coming here, you might go, oh, I remember that guy.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Who are where are the games? How does this all? When does it start? And then who's coming?
Yeah. And the most important question is how can I get some merch? I want a T-shirt.
Yeah, I like that logo.
The logo is awesome.
I like that logo.
I love the logo.
So we'll have him tomorrow at 9:15 to answer a lot of these questions about the Western Oklahoma Bulls coming to town in the ABA. I mean, when I think of ABA, I think of three things: Dr. J, George Gervin, and a red, white, and blue basketball.
And Jackie Moon.
I don't think of Jackie Moon.
Oh. You don't think of Jackie Moon?
I do not.
All right. But yeah, Dr. J, yeah. Cool stuff.
I mean, to think about the fact that a league with those players in it is going to play right here in Elk City is pretty amazing, right?
Of course. That's what I'm excited about.
Pretty amazing.
Yes, we'll have him on tomorrow.
Yes, 9:15 tomorrow.
Great.
Jonathan Reed, head coach GM of the Western Oklahoma Bulls. So that leaves us with a big gaping hole in the middle of the show here, Jared.
Oh, we can fill it.
What do you want to talk about? You know what we haven't talked about much? What's happening tomorrow night? And I don't mean in Weatherford. I mean in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
That's true.
Oklahoma State comes in double-digit point underdog at home.
Our LSU fan does not want us to talk about this. He's screaming, talk about baseball.
We just talked about baseball.
We just talked about baseball, TJ. Sorry.
So, but
OSU baseball?
But seriously, I mean, I know it's doom and gloom, and for good reason. Have you seen what South Alabama has done since that win in Stillwater?
Oh, no. Not one since?
Yeah, and they lost to Central Michigan and maybe James Madison, which James Madison's, I think they're undefeated still. So that's maybe not the worst loss of all time.
Aren't they usually a player in the FCS?
Have they bumped up yet?
I don't know.
I think they were on the path to bump up.
It's all the realignment and stuff.
It's hard to know. That is
hard
very,
to
very
keep
true.
track.
It is hard to keep track of who's where. But how it is so gloomy feeling up in Stillwater. How can Oklahoma State win this game? Yeah, James Madison's in the Sun Belt.
So they have moved up. How can they win this game? Well, it could set up, because it is a Friday night in Stillwater. They have sold out. Bravo to the fans. Still selling out, still showing up. Blackout, national television. It could set up for, and I don't mean this in any disrespect for Cowboys, but as a trap game for the favored Wildcats. You know what I mean? It could set up, as opposed to if this thing was played on a 2:30 on Saturday afternoon, because of that atmosphere. But on the field, though, where do you start? Where do you start? The X's and O's. I mean, where can they find an advantage?
They've obviously settled on Bowman.
That's a good start.
And I don't necessarily think it was his fault that the team didn't win up at Iowa State, even though he did throw 2 picks. That he was good enough. The defense, just a couple of letdowns against the Iowa State offense for big plays, and voila, there it was. But I think that's part of it. At some point, I feel like the Oklahoma State defense is going to rally for a game or two because of the personnel they have. The problem is, man, this seems like this just doesn't seem like your get-right game against what Kansas State is known for, which is being very, very, very disciplined, not beating themselves. Doesn't it feel like next week with KU come to town, especially if Daniels is still hobbled or doesn't play, KU feels like the team that'll kind of let you, not necessarily give you a game, but darn sure help you win one. A turnover here, a dumb play there. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not the
either under Leopold?
Kansas State, yeah. I mean, they'll still do some stupid stuff. Kansas State, though, is more Army than they are give you a game.
Yeah, being very disciplined and very physical and tough is a dangerous combination, and that's what Kansas State gives you.
They always seem to. I mean, they certainly do when they play OU every year. You give the Sooners fits because they almost just plod along, and wait on OU to screw up. And by the way, it happens a whole bunch of times. But I don't like the fact that they're playing Friday as far as just the overall grand scheme of things. I think it's ridiculous that these two teams are having to play on Friday with the programs that they built and the history that they have right now. I think it's ludicrous. Having said that, though, I think the Friday night atmosphere gives OSU a way better chance to win this game than if it was just in the mix at 2:30 or in the mix at 6 on a Saturday.
Yeah.
I think that it does maybe help throw off. Kansas State, they seem like one of those teams that is just like regimented, right? Like we do this today, this tomorrow, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and so on and so forth. Maybe playing this game a day early can kind of mess with their internal clock, mess with their regiment, mess with their discipline, mess with their just the way that they do things and allow Oklahoma State a chance. It doesn't really feel like it, though, at the end of the day. It doesn't really feel like the Pokes can win this game. And that is unbelievable to say in a home conference game against K-State in Stillwater. It's just it doesn't even fit what's been going on for the better part of 20 years.
It doesn't, but the probabilities of it happening this season, we should have looked at this back in December with the mass exodus of players. But we always leaned on, well, Gundy always found a way. He always took doubt or uncertainty and found a way to churn out wins.
And they got guys back through the portal.
Yeah, it was a two-way street.
Obviously, well, but the problem was the quality that left wasn't replaced by the quality that came back. You know, you're talking about dudes in the secondary that left that are now starting at Oregon, LSU. I don't think Ohio State yet, but I mean that's and then of course the linebacker at USC. It's a bunch of guys that you replace numbers, but you may not have replaced the quality.
And that is also being said at quarterback.
Oh, 1,000,000%.
I mean, you needed Sanders. They needed Sanders.
1,000,000%.
I mean, trading Sanders for Bowman is not an improvement. That's the quality you speak of.
Not behind this offensive line. If he was behind a brick wall, maybe.
Yeah, the offensive line needs every blame on this. Yeah,
but with the way that the offensive line executes, you had to have a guy, and I think that's why. Honestly, I think that's why we saw the 3 quarterback carousel to start the year, and it wasn't necessarily okay who's the best. It was who can handle running for their life, who handle that pressure the best, to be able to figure out a way to try to make something of the season. I mean, at this point, I can't believe we're saying this through 4 games, but there is certainly a path to Oklahoma State not being in a bowl game.
Oh, you look at the rest of the schedule, absolutely.
And what's crazy is the schedule isn't any good.
I know, but
that's what's
the way
scary.
This is shaking out, though, is these other teams that they're going to have to go up against. If they get a if Kansas with the healthy Jalen Daniels, that's losable. West Virginia suddenly looks good.
Yeah, that's true.
Cincinnati, it's in Stillwater. Of course, there's Bedlam at Central Florida, at Houston. I think Houston might be the only sure one you could say, yeah, they could win that one. Then hosting BYU. The other ones, those are losses, or, well, let's flip a coin.
Well, you got to get to 4 more for 6 and 6.
So where are the 4?
Well, one of the next 2, I'm not so sold on KU. We saw what happened last year. Started out strong, and then
quarterback went out and look what happened.
Yeah, and he's definitely a great player, and he makes a difference, but I'm not so sure exactly how good they are with him. That West Virginia game was crazy. Look, of course, Oklahoma State has had trouble in West Virginia at times since the Mountaineers had joined the conference. Now, all of a sudden, Neil Brown fighting for his job has them 4-1. That game looks way harder than it did this summer. They have to beat Cincinnati at home. Cincinnati isn't any good. Bedlam, that's Bedlam. Kind of like this week, who knows? Anything can kind of happen a lot of times. Then, yeah, at Houston, at UCF, BYU at home. If you can say, you can be pretty negative and go, I don't see how there's 4 wins there, or there's no way they can be this bad if you got your glass half full. But it's certainly hard to go out on any limbs for Oklahoma State right now with the way that they performed and with just the last 2 weeks. Last 2 weeks have been as bad as it's been in Stillwater in a long, long time.
On the other side, go back to Kansas State. We know they're a well-coached team. But how good are they? UCF kind of hung around with them. kind of got a gritty win there, but they gave up 31 points. Of course, they lost at Missouri, but Missouri might be, I don't know, okay. We'll find out this weekend. Then they went and beat Southeast Missouri and Troy, which anybody should do. Anybody with a pulse should do. Are we overinflating like how good they are, or is it fool's gold based on who they played, or you see where I'm going? I'm just trying to find hope here for OSU.
Defending Big 12 champs, Will Howard's been in and out. I mean, hurt at the quarterback spot. I think that makes a difference because I think he's one of the better ones in the league. If they really are a Big 12 title contender, they'll find a way to win in Stillwater. They'll find a way to win in Lubbock. They'll hold their home field against TCU, and they'll beat Houston. They'll go to Texas, 3-1, 7-1. And if they're not, you could easily see them losing next week at Tech, getting tripped up at home by TCU. And then all of a sudden you've got a loss or two in the conference heading to Texas. And at that point, that's a game that you have a hard time seeing them win. These next 2 weeks are big for them as well. Road games in historically tough places to play in Stillwater and in Lubbock. Coming through that unscathed, all of a sudden
that question's answered.
Especially if Texas wins Saturday, they're in the driver's seat to join Texas in Arlington because the OU isn't on the schedule.
That's right.
So there's I think how about we don't know yet? I mean,
yeah.
It's weird.
It's like I feel like we know more about OSU than we do Kansas State, although we think Kansas State's a better team.
Unfortunately, but that's the way this season was always going to be with this conference schedule, right? If you found something out before a certain date, it was going to be bad. Like if you know what OU is before Saturday, that just means it's bad.
Yeah.
Like Oklahoma State, if you found something out before this Kansas State game, and this was the one everybody circled going into the season, hey, you win these first four, and now you got K-State. Then you find out how good you are. Unfortunately, we already know. So, you know what I'm saying? We already know a little bit more about OSU because they're not very good, or they haven't been very good. That's the interesting part of this brand new Big 12 for this one season. Is with the new teams floating in. I mean, a new team hadn't been an old team yet. The old guard's still like 6-0 against the new guard. And so, this was kind of this should have been the measuring stick for Kansas State and Oklahoma State. And now they're both. K-State lost on that 61-yard field goal to Mizzou, but still you lost. This game, if you're truly that good, you'd win that game.
Yep.
We may be overinflating Kansas State. We'll find out next couple of weeks. Hanging out here on a Thursday. Don't forget that Big Elk football tonight. Cool 94, Big Elk TV, Elk City and Cash. That's a 7 o'clock kick, 6:15 game, 6:15 for the pregame. By the way, we mentioned earlier Class A state fall baseball tournament was delayed until a noon start. That's been pushed back again. As of about 10 minutes ago, Class A baseball state tournament quarterfinals at Edmond Memorial pushed back. So you've got Oakdale and Preston now a 1:30 start. So that ends up being a 2.5-hour delay. So push everything back 2.5 hours. 1:30 there, Dale Silo 4, Rattan Wright City 6:30, and Matty Yost is going to have to stay up all night long. Okarche and Worcester at 9 for the first pitch scheduled. You can probably put that Okarche Worcester at 10.
Yeah. That's how these work.
But, 2.5-hour delay in Class A fall baseball state tournament. First game 1:30 start now instead of the originally scheduled 11. Nothing else has been affected by the rain last night, but that certainly has there in the Class A fall baseball state tournament. All right, Jared, we talked about what happens when Texas's offense is on the field on Saturday. We talked about that yesterday. Let's look on the other side of the football. When Oklahoma is on offense, Texas is on defense. without knowing any of the numbers, without knowing any of the stats, what is your just
Well, I can't even look them up because they're not right. Thanks,
just first rattle out of the box? What would you think? OU's offense versus Texas's defense.
Now, state the question.
Just what I mean. What do you think of when you think, okay, OU has the ball, Texas is playing defense? What crosses your mind?
I think I keep seeing, because the running game has been very anemic. So when I close my eyes, I say, okay, what could I picture offensively for Oklahoma on Saturday? I see Dylan Gabriel spreading it out. You would hope that would continue, throwing it to multiple guys, and then taking a long shot every once in a while, taking a deep shot every once in a while. But you start spreading it out, getting guys in space on the edges, in the flats maybe. Then again, taking some deep shots and hopefully having success moving the ball that way. That's how I see the offense versus the Texas defense.
I think first impressions are, OU can't run the ball.
That's exactly what I said. Yeah.
Obviously, when you look at the numbers, it would tell you, you can't run the ball. Oklahoma's 63rd in the country in rushing yards per game at 158. UT only allows 95 a game, which is 17th best in America. Here's what I think that rushing stat is so powerful in that the team that runs the ball the best wins this game. It is so powerful and so front of mind. You don't even have to look for that, and you know it, right? I mean, it's not one of those stats that you just know it from year after year after year that whoever wins the rushing battle wins this game. It's just kind of been a staple of this battle down in the Cotton Bowl. Here's what I don't think can happen, or I darn sure don't want to see happen, is I don't want to see a team that their clear Achilles heel so far offensively is running it. I don't want to see them beat their head against the wall trying to run it for a quarter and a half, getting down 17 points and never able to come back.
Just to try to prove a point.
Just to try. We have to run it, so we got to run it. Now,
Yeah.
I understand the history of the series, but the history of the series isn't who runs it the best in the first quarter. The history of the series is who runs it the best for the game. Mm-hmm. And so that will be maddening if there's some sort of stubbornness coming out of the play calling for the first quarter or so, and you see a bunch of 3-and-outs because OU is trying to prove a point or trying to establish a run game that has been non-existent all year. This is a game to me where you pass to open up the run, not the other way around.
I can see that.
Going into
I know
it,
what
at
you're
least.
saying. Yeah.
And that's, I mean, the strength of Oklahoma's offense, if you just look at the numbers, the outlier is the rushing. Everything else is in the top 10 nationally everywhere on offense. Pass efficiency, total offense, third down offense, scoring offense. Everything is top 10, if not almost top 5, except for the rushing. Texas on defensively, once again, we see one glaring advantage on OU's side. Just as we did yesterday with red zone, we see it on third down here. All the other numbers are pretty similar. Well, Texas has the advantage rush defense versus rush offense, a big one. Pass efficiency, OU's 6th, Texas is 16th on defense. Total offense was just yards. OU's 9th, Texas is 17th in giving up the least amount. Red zone, OU's been 67% touchdowns, which is very good in 27 attempts. Texas has only allowed 1 in 10 red zone attempts by the other team. 5 scores, period, with 4 field goals and a touchdown. Scoring, OU 3rd, Texas 12th. But the one glaring advantage Oklahoma has is third down. Oklahoma's 55% on third down, which is 6th in the country offensively. Texas gives up 42% of third downs, which is 56th. Kind of like we saw with red zone yesterday, third down yesterday, with Texas's offense versus OU defense. The big downs, the big third downs, and then red zones for the offenses, Those are the two. Those are maybe the only two real advantages statistically going into this game for Oklahoma. Which, if you're gonna have advantages, I think those would be pretty decent ones to have, because that means you hit a couple of key third downs that does a couple of things. It keeps your defense rested, keeps yours off the field, and obviously continues drives looking to go score points. Who is somebody that we mentioned it yesterday, somebody on each side or one side that you don't necessarily expect has a big game in this game? It happens almost every single year.
That I don't expect. There's no one you really kind of don't expect.
Yeah.
I will go. I mean, it's almost just put your hand in a hat and draw a name out with the wide receivers, but I think I'll go with Gibson. For no reason other than it's just random, and it's just a guy. The fan favorite wants to say Freeman, because I did pick him preseason being a guy that would be a household name by the end of the season. He started that way, and has been a nice piece to this offense, but Gibson's a guy that can go up and get it. So I'll go with him, making big catches and key moments.
Yeah, I think it needs to be a running back, but I can't tell you which one.
Yeah, good luck.
You know what I'm saying?
Put the hand in the other hat, right? Who knows?
Yeah, I think it needs to be a running back. Sam's got Brendan Thompson, transfer from Texas, speedster that we saw. Hadn't seen really yet until the other day.
About that guy.
My gosh, is he fast.
Yeah.
Like extra, super fast. Question on the text line, do you feel OU has been tested? I think Cincinnati is a pretty good defense. And
their best test, maybe.
You can look at that one of two ways. I think Iowa State's a good defense. Has been historically. Sooners put 50 on that one. But when you look at the Cincinnati game, you can always say this every game. Well, they only got 20. Yeah, Gabriel missed 2 touchdowns and then fumbled in the red zone. What difference does that look like if it was 41-6 instead of 20-6 offensively for OU? Here would be my question: Who has tested Texas defense throwing the football? The best throwing team they played statistically, yards per game.
I'm gonna go with the offshoot one and say Wyoming.
Rice.
I guess that can understand that with. Was it JT Daniels?
Rice.
Is he still throwing it for him?
And they did very
well.
Or
is he transferred yet?
They did very well against Rice. Rice is 13th in the country at 307 a game. And Texas held them to 149. But I don't think that anyone would sit here and say that Rice has the skill of Oklahoma. And so you kind of throw out KU without Daniels, in my mind, just because you didn't get a true representation of what Kansas's offense was going in versus what they saw. And so to me, the game that I would look at, that I am looking at, to get a true judge of just like what we might see from Texas's defense versus OU's offense, I go back to the only game where there was similar athletes on the field, which would be Alabama. And we all know Alabama's offense struggled mightily so far this year. 50th in scoring, 54th in rushing, 85th total offense, and 103rd passing offense. And Texas held them underneath their rushing average. Bama actually threw it for 70 yards more than they average. They gained exactly what they averaged gaining, and they scored 8 less points than they've averaged all season long. So when you look at that, UT's defense held up very well against Alabama's offense outside of the passing game. Bama's 70 more yards as the 103rd best passing offense above average. That's got to give you a little bit of a glimmer of a hope if you're Oklahoma.
If you're Texas, are you worried about slow starts? Baylor, they didn't really have a problem with, but Rice game's a little bit of a slow start. Wyoming going into the fourth quarter was tight. So was last week. Or is it just a matter of we know we can win this game?
I think the answer to that question depends on how good they feel about their pass defense. If they feel like they can slow Oklahoma down through the air, then I don't think they care if they start slow. If they're worried, to me this we've asked all kind of tongue in cheek, but also seriously, like, what is an advantage that Oklahoma has over Texas in this game? What is it? For me, it's that. It's Gabriel and the ability of Oklahoma to move the ball through the air. That is the advantage Oklahoma has coming into this game. It may be the only one, but that is one. And listen, somebody is going to prove their mettle in this game. One of the teams is going to prove that these numbers that we see so far are real.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to. And it could be Texas's pass defense. It could be them going, listen, we are this good. We just haven't got an opportunity to play somebody that people think is good yet. On that same token, it could be Oklahoma as a team. Because at this point, I said this yesterday and I'll keep on saying it, but if you continue to listen to everything outside, I mean, Joel Klatt basically said yesterday the Sooners shouldn't even show up. They ought to be so nervous about playing this UT team. It gets to the point where, man, I'm just glad that this juggernaut and the burnt orange is going to allow these poor saps in the crimson and cream to show up on the field.
Keep it up. You know what it reminds me of? And I know this. It reminds me of a game that OU lost, but it reminds me of Stoops' first game and first year in this, 1999, where it's like, oh, okay, here's this nice OU team, a new coach, and it's Texas. And then OU came out roaring, but they couldn't hold on to win. But it's kind of like, hey, we're here to play too.
It was the same way the next year.
In 2000?
Yeah.
Everybody was talking Texas, yeah.
Of course they were.
Yeah.
Oklahoma hadn't played anybody yet. They're not ready. It's year 2 under Stoops. Nobody turns it around in 2 years.
Right. Yeah. 2 year might be a better example. Year 2 might be a better example.
I mean,
and this is year
but that's
2
the thing.
Yeah.
I think it could be either. We just don't know. I mean, and we knew this going in to the season. We weren't going to know or have real good evidence. That's what I said about OSU earlier. We weren't going to have really good evidence or believable evidence about Oklahoma until after Saturday, if it was good. Now, if you lose a game or two before this game, just like OSU, now everything is a disaster. And, this doesn't look good for the season. So we're really where we thought we would be, and that is you don't know nothing until Texas. You can't really believe anything until Texas. I can't wait to find out. I can't wait to find out because I do think that there are advantages Oklahoma has, especially in the pass game, that are just being completely overlooked. And, it's part like you said. Everyone wants Texas back so bad. And Bama helped validate that this would be off and running. Mm-hmm. I mean, if they win this game, how many votes do they have in the AP?
Oh, yeah, they'll get
number 1.
That might be enough to put them number 2 because of quality of opponent versus Michigan's quality of opponents.
So last week in the AP, they had 10 first-place votes. Michigan had 12. I think that number goes to 15 or 20 if they win this game.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't feel like anybody really trusts OU, it's just another win against a named team. Mm-hmm. And especially if they look impressive doing it.
Yep.
We're going to get to pick tomorrow.
Yeah, pump the brakes. It's only Thursday. We'll pick
we got one right now, 31. We had 2 predictions today. We had 31-13 Texas.
It's not going to be a blowout.
And we had 34-28 Oklahoma. We'll get everybody's predictions coming up tomorrow.
And to be honest, I have no idea.
Coach Reed as well. Coach Jonathan Reed tomorrow with the Western Oklahoma Bulls.
You've been listening to the Skinny on Sports podcast with Aaron Cow. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get alerts of when the latest podcast is available. Thanks for listening.
That ball is blistered to right. Way